What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes Show, our 10th season, Scott. We figured that out before the podcast, and I think you didn't believe it when I said this is going to be our 10th season in 2024. We started doing this podcast prior to the 2015 season, and 2024 will indeed be the 10th season of Yankees baseball.
Happy New Year, man. Yeah, I needed you to count on your fingers to prove that because in my head, the math didn't work. But then when you counted on your fingers and I saw all those 10 digits go up, I was like, damn. This is the 10th year coming up. That's a lot. It's kind of crazy because you mentioned also like the last 5 years is a blur. I agree. The last 5 years is definitely a blur. You know, leading up to 19, I think was like the last normal year, and then ever since then, it's just been a different both in Yankees baseball, the world, and our lives. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. This upcoming season needs to be number 10 needs to be
better be good
different year. Yeah, it needs to be different. It just needs to be different. Instead of not hitting the ceiling or, you know, getting to a place where they're actually maximizing, you know, what the abilities are on the baseball diamond, they actually need to do that for a full season, not just half a year.
Last year, I think for a lot of people watching the Yankees, for two people talking about it 2 or 3 times a week, was not easy. And I don't know how we are going to be able to handle another non-existent Yankees season like 2023. So hopefully 2024 is different. But you know what it also means? You know what today also is? It's the first podcast of the new year. So you know what we have to do?
Festivus?
No, we missed Festivus. Festivus
God damn
before
it.
Christmas. Yeah, we have to pick a date is when the last time you could wish someone a Happy New Year is.
No, that's your thing. You can wish me a Happy New Year anytime you want.
Bullshit. I come to you April 12th. I can wish you a Happy New Year.
If you're talking about the baseball New Year, sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put a January 12th date on it.
Oh, you've moved it up. You've moved it up because I'm pretty sure it was the third week of January was your stop dead. There's some caveats here.
Yeah, because it depends on when the first day back of work is. Most people's first day back of work was yesterday, Tuesday. So you basically have 2 full work weeks. Okay, so you're telling me you're gonna come back on the 16th because of MLK Day? I believe it's on the 15th. You're not gonna come back after MLK Day and start wishing people a Happy New Year. No,
maybe I haven't seen them yet. Where does the caveat lie if you haven't seen them yet or spoken to them or communicated to them? Does that probably stretch through January or no?
No, they're not important enough to get a Happy New Year. If you haven't talked to them in the first 2 weeks of the month, they're probably not important enough to you to wish them a Happy New Year.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I know you have a serious problem with people wishing you a Happy New Year after a particular date. So that's why I wish that everybody who's listening wishes you. Although you're no longer active on Twitter, it's harder to get to you. Which is a problem for me because I like bothering you and I like, you know, having people reach out to bother you. It makes me happy.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I still do answer my Twitter DMs because a lot of people who listen to the podcast DM.
They're in the DMs now.
They're in the DMs, and
cool.
but it's people who like the show and who I'm friendly with, so it's positive interactions. It's not shitheads.
Well, good. It'll mean even more to me than if those people wish you a Happy New Year after January 16th. That will be even better because. Cool. Clearly, you have a rapport
January
with some
12th,
of these folks.
January 12th.
Okay, sorry. January 13th
January
on, please. Yes. Yeah, let it fly.
Well, we skipped.
I'm going to start hitting comments on Facebook under your family pictures.
I can't even log into Facebook. Never mind see comments on Facebook. My Facebook account has been locked for like 9 months. So we in between the Christmas and New Year, we did the Bernie Williams throwback episode. It just, you know, with you traveling, I was about to head out for a couple days, and the slow news cycle, it just didn't make sense to you know, jump on and really only talk about Estevan Florial being traded away and Yamamoto not signing with the Yankees, which we're going to talk about today. But there have been a bunch of other things around the league over the past few days that have happened that I think impact the Yankees. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the Yamamoto stuff? Because when we last recorded, which was the Wednesday before Christmas or the Thursday before Christmas, would you say the Yankees were like the leader in the clubhouse at that point to get him?
I don't think anybody knew. That's the thing. Like it was, there was so much unbelievable speculation around even Ohtani and Yamamoto. But Yamamoto felt like it was, you know, taking us for a loop, like in every different direction. So yeah, did I think the Yankees were firmly in it? For sure. Definitely expected that. Everything you heard was the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, but really Dodgers, Yankees. So What we learned is that this guy wanted to be a Dodger the entire time, and whether Ohtani signed there or not, he wanted to be a Dodger. So basically, just waiting this thing out, playing the agent was just making sure that he was getting the maximized amount of dollars that he could possibly get for the contract to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's exactly what happened.
Because I'm a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist when it comes to things like this. Do you think that Ohtani knew Yamamoto's top team? Right. So when 100%. So when Ohtani was shopping his free agency around, and he's going to the Dodgers, and I know he offered the deferred money to everyone reportedly, but you have to imagine there's conversations in that Dodger war room with Shohei Ohtani where it's like, I know Yamamoto is coming here and you guys need to afford him, and I want him here because he's going to give us a better chance to win. So let's figure out how to get this done while also getting me paid. That was a very direct conversation they were having.
I mean, maybe, but I don't necessarily think that he was talking about his money in a way that clears dollars for Yamamoto. I think more so just like figure it out, and the deferred money works for me. So if that helps add pieces and Yamamoto is one of them, then great, be aggressive. But I doubt Ohtani's making any adjustments to his salary strictly to sign Yamamoto. I think it worked out well for both parties. Clearly, he wanted this. He wanted the way that it was structured. I mean, the way that he wanted Ohtani wanted it structured in a particular way, and the Dodgers were able to, accommodate that. And yeah, it helped build a team around him, which Ohtani was interested in. I don't think it probably wasn't directly around Yamamoto is all I'm saying. He wanted to offer flexibility for the team so that the team can put a winner out there. And is Yamamoto part of that puzzle? Yes.
I don't know. I think it's a factor because of them both being Japanese. Like if it was Blake Snell or if it was Jordan Montgomery, I don't know if it would have been.
That's like saying Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery are in cahoots to sign in one team so that they can, defer money.
Maybe.
Because they're both from the U.S.
Maybe they are.
They're not. They're not. Newsflash.
I don't think Blake Snell needs to get his. He needs to get mine.
He should.
ASAP.
He just won the goddamn Cy Young. So you'd think that a guy who wins the Cy Young and becomes a free agent, that's a great thing, right? You'd think that would be a really positive way to enter free agency, and that teams would be, drooling over you to get the most recent Cy Young winner of the. It's just not happening. It's just not the way it is, and maybe it's just the market's needed to settle, and there are many teams in the back that are pining over him and negotiating against each other that we're just not really hearing about, but. It feels like a weird market for Blake Snell right now, given considering his success last year and the fact that he kind of refound that stuff that he had in Tampa.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of durability issues. I think because of the amount of innings that he pitched. I think that's a concern. Although the Dodgers didn't see that as a concern with Glass now because. What he throw like 120 innings last year, career high, something along those lines, and got paid like a guy that throws 200 innings. So I think there's, Blake Snell puts a lot of guys on bases on the base paths as well. He walks a lot of dudes. So that's a concern if depending on where you're playing and the type of ballpark and team that you have.
Or yes, but it also has to do with, Blake Snell's won 2 Cy Young Awards, 2018 with Tampa, 2023 with San Diego. In between those Cy Young Awards, he had a 4.29 ERA, a 3.24 ERA, a 4.2 ERA, and a 3.28 ERA. That's like I'm not calling that trash.
Injury
that's
concern,
not trash. That's not trash, but
these are I think stemmed because of injury.
Okay, it's all a factor. It's the inconsistency.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So durability is a real reason for him. Like he put it together. He's I think he's a similar risk as Cody Bellinger. So if you take one side on the pitching, the other on the hitting side, I think they're both very clear risks because you see what the up years are, and they're very good. They're extremely good. They're MVP and Cy Young. Can't get better than that. But the down years are significantly down from that. So you're looking at a very volatile career. Kind of don't know what you're going to get. So when you're looking at a long-term deal, which both of those guys I would expect are going after, then you have a significant amount of risk in signing those guys. And at that point, you're looking at the GM who's looking in the mirror saying, my job's on the line if this doesn't work out.
Exactly. Yeah. Not every GM has the luxury that Brian Cashman has had, is to just whiff on massive free agent contracts.
Yeah. Job security. He's got job security like Yamamoto or like Shohei Otani's interpreter.
Yeah. So the other thing about Yamamoto, there's reports that the Yankees did not want to offer him a larger contract than Garrett Cole, and he ended up signing for $1 million more than Garrett Cole. There's a lot of funkiness in the deal for Yamamoto. It included a $50 million signing bonus and then some opt-outs depending on if he has Tommy John surgery or does not have Tommy John surgery in the first 6 years of his deal. So there's some funkiness in this contract, but the bottom line is it's $1 million more than, what is it, $325 million guaranteed, which is $1 million more than was guaranteed on Garrett Cole's contract. Now, obviously, Garrett Cole could opt out and then get that extension from the Yankees to make that more. But on the face of it, it's $1 million more. And reportedly, the Yankees did not want to do that for one reason or the other. Maybe it's because they didn't want that to be optically for Garrett Cole. Maybe they just didn't think Yamamoto was worth it. I have no clue. But this is just sort of the nature of setting the market as a player. Garrett Cole signed 4 off seasons ago, right? Because he signed before the 2020 season. And he set the market. So of course, pitchers who come after you are going to get more money. That's not a knock on you. That's not saying this player is better than you. That's just the nature of how these things go. So I don't know that would have been a factor for Garrett Cole.
I don't think it's a factor for Garrett Cole necessarily, but it's when you look at the market and you see a guy that's never pitched an inning in Major League Baseball, top the Cy Young in the American League winner, and a guy who's been durable his entire career and dominant pretty much his entire career. That's where you're looking and you're kind of scratching your head if you're Garrett Cole, but it is what it is. Like, there's a supply and demand issue, and Yamamoto has an amazing track record. And the fact that there is a precedent for number one guys coming over from Japan, the number one guys of Japan coming over to the States in the major leagues and having success, the precedent's there for that. So it's not as much of a as an unknown. I think that the ownership and GMs across the league feel very comfortable with paying a guy who's had a lot of good success in Japan. So,
but you could also point to it and say, well, it's less AAV. A big part of it is signing bonus. So this is not a bigger contract than yours, Garrett. It looks like it, but it's not. Like, but again, I don't think this is a factor. I don't think at this point
it's
Garrett
not a factor,
Cole,
and it shouldn't be. Garrett Cole wants to win. Like, he wants to win. Like, the fact it's not a slap in the face. You're not just taking off your glove.
But I feel like it was reported like it would have been a slap in the face to
catching
Garrett Cole
it and slapping him across the face with it. It's not happening. Reported is one thing. Could it be? Could someone see it as that? Would be ridiculous if I'm a pitcher and the reason I don't want to sign a guy who's a top flight guy and will make my team better is because he's going to get $1 more than me. That's some egocentric bullshit.
Say Juan Soto crushes it for the Yankees this year and they want to sign him to a long-term deal. It's going to be bigger than Aaron Judge's contract. Is that going to be a slap in the face to the captain?
No. Juan Soto's significantly younger than when Aaron Judge signed.
Yamamoto's younger than when Garrett Cole signed.
Exactly.
So it's I don't know why this bothered me that it was reported like this. It's like, no, maybe the Yankees just didn't want to go. Maybe, first of all, maybe Yamamoto never wanted to come to the Yankees or an East Coast team.
I think that's the biggest thing. So the Mets offered $325 and didn't even seem like it was a real thing.
But if there's a world in which you know for certain you offered $326 and he's going to sign on the dotted line, the Yankees, you should do that.
Yes.
If you want the player.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's convenient for the media to pick up on a Garrett Cole sliding rather than the Yankees really had no chance. Because I think that's more along the lines
they
of
were
what
part
was
of
happening.
They were part of Yamamoto's
leverage
team to get leverage. Exactly. The Yankees, the Mets, any other team he met with is all just to increase the price on the Dodgers, especially the Giants, because I know the Giants were in on it too. No, yeah, I want to go to the Dodgers and I'm going to use you people to drive my price up for the Dodgers.
Yeah, well, just
fine.
Fine. It's a negotiating tactic. It is what it is. It's the beautiful thing about having a free market that they can do that. But yeah, clearly. And that's why I think that the Yankees kind of stood their ground at the offer, which was a fair offer. And like, I know there were some people that were out there like, oh, the Yankees didn't do this. The Yankees made a fair offer, like an extremely fair offer to a guy that is coming over and they had been talking to for a long time. So that's why I don't believe when you look at the history of Cashman and the Yankees scouting and spending time with Yamamoto and being over there and putting all the diligence they did in with this guy, there's no way you can convince me that the $25 or $26 million was the difference in him signing and not signing. The guy didn't want to play in New York. The guy wanted to play in the West Coast, and he wanted to be in Dodger blue. And I think after Ohtani signed there as well, it was written for him. You know, obviously nobody else knew that at the time, but that's where he wanted to be, clearly.
Now, though, do you feel like the Yankees are backed into a corner where they need to get one or maybe even two starting pitchers because they made Yamamoto such a priority this offseason?
I think that no matter what, Yamamoto had to clear, Ohtani and Yamamoto had to clear the market before any of these other guys were going to go, no matter what. So, you know, them prioritizing one over the other, I think that those camps were going to wait no matter what, because they needed to identify where the market was, which is smart. I mean, you should wait. Yamamoto, you're expecting record deals from both of those guys, so why would you try to sign early? You want those to hit the market so that you can have, you know, a little bit more of a clear line in the sand for when you're negotiating. That said, they are backs against the wall a bit. They do need another, at least another starting pitcher that can come in here and have success, and a little bit more of a less of a risk, because with Rodon, and we don't know what to expect from him. You'd think that we're going to get a significant bounce back year from him, but again, nothing that he's shown on the pitcher's mound in Yankee Stadium or in Pinstripes has shown that he's got the ability to do that. But to me, at this point, there's one guy and one guy only on the free agent market that gives you the feeling of, we're going to sign this guy. It's probably going to be an overpay given where the starting pitching market is, but I know damn well that he can come in, and that's Jordan Montgomery. I think he's by far the clearest, safest option. And this isn't, I know you don't like when Yankees come back, but I think this is different because
it's different. I've said this is different. I've talked about this a number of times. I don't
listen when you talk normally, so refresh.
Great. I would totally re-sign Jordan Montgomery. And this is not because Jordan Montgomery did not fail in New York and then get shipped away or just, you know, have his contract end. Jordan Montgomery was traded away. Was he better once he left New York? Yeah, but I'm not putting that on Jordan Montgomery as being a failure in New York. I think there's other circumstances that led to him becoming a better pitcher when he left.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, they didn't evaluate him properly and what his true potential was to sort of get that out of him. And then Brian Cashman traded him away for what we have come to learn was not enough. I mean, they didn't get enough from Harrison Bader for the value that they traded away in Jordan Montgomery. And now they're going to have to pay the price to get him back. It's going to cost you $25 million a year over 6 years to get Jordan Montgomery back.
Well, whether they traded him away or not, they were still going to have to pay to get him retained at that point too. You know, that's assuming he had the same success in Pinstripes that he did in St. Louis and in Texas. And you could argue very easily that he wouldn't have. He became a better pitcher by going, which could be a good thing for the Yankees. Because
they're going to get a better pitcher, because there's a world in which he stayed with the Yankees, continued to be the same pitcher he was with the Yankees,
right?
Hit the market. He's going to get like a 3-year, $60 million contract or something like that.
Doesn't
Maybe
maximize
not even
his potential.
3-year, $50 million contract. And the Yankees are like, well, why do we want that? We can find that somewhere else. And then he just goes and signs with some other team and then maybe explodes. But then he doesn't get this. The trade, getting traded was the best thing that ever happened to Jordan Montgomery.
Both times. I mean, he put himself in a position when he went over to St. Louis, dominated for the rest of the season, essentially. And then when he got traded to Texas, obviously got put in the best possible position you could be put in, is in a World Series contender that actually goes and he performs well in the postseason and, you know, is a large contributor to a World Series championship right before. So you could make an argument that Jordan Montgomery being traded to Texas was significantly better for his free agent market than Blake Snell winning the Cy Young right before he goes on, because of what he showed in big moments. And I think that Jordan Montgomery is the opposite of Blake Snell in the sense that he's a durable guy. He's a dude, like he's a big boy. And he seemingly has, you know, he's got good mechanics. He's able to stay healthy, you know, knock on wood, but he's got that durability that you don't see in a lot of guys. And that's why, and there's a familiarity obviously with him and the New York Yankees and their staff. So to me, it makes a ton of sense. I was listening to MLB radio on Sirius on the way into the office this morning, and they mentioned that Montgomery's wife is doing a residency in Boston, which I thought was interesting. We know, from your sister, in the area doing something similar at some point, that's a massive time commitment as well. And if you're up there, you probably want to be somewhere relatively close, or have the opportunity to be in that city a good amount of times in the year and a short trip to it. So that, whether that's a part in what he's looking at as far as convenience and closest proximity to family, New York's pretty close, but Boston is also
Boston's
one of
closer.
these teams that are talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What the Red Sox are doing is odd, interesting. I don't really know. They traded away Sale and some money along with it to Atlanta for Vaughn Grissom, who could be a nice piece for them. He's got a lot of years of team control, and I know Grissom was supposed to take over from as the shortstop, but his defense sort of pushed him out of that position. So I think the Red Sox, I was hearing that they're going to just try and make him their primary second baseman. I think he can hit. We'll see what he can do defensively, but they also signed Lucas Giolito, who I guess give 41. I didn't realize he was this bad. He gave 41 home runs last year. Lucas Giolito.
Yeah, and he was significantly worse after he went
like
away
6
from Chicago.
plus ERA after he got traded.
Yeah, it was. But when you see how much he's getting paid now,
it was like 19 million AAV.
That's showing you it's that the starting pitcher market right now is insanely expensive. Because
it's a 2-year deal with opt out, so it's not like he's getting 19 million for the next 7 years or anything like that. But it's still 19 million a year.
If you are a guy that can throw the baseball and have some type of track record in Major League Baseball on the professional level, you're going to get paid right now. Whether it's a short-term deal or not. Frankie Montas going in there, the 12 million or 14 million total AAV. That's a lot for a guy that hasn't thrown the baseball barely any in 2 years and coming off of surgery and has no track record of recovering from any of the surgeries that he's gone to. I mean, what proof do you have that Frankie Montas is anywhere close to what we thought maybe he was in Oakland, around the time he got popped for steroids too, by the way?
I think with a lot of these types of things, teams, there's a risk reward, analysis that they're doing. And they're saying like, this could very well just be a waste of $14 million, but in a best case scenario, he's good again and we're competing, or we can trade him away to get back significant prospects because he's exceeding expectations and some team will be desperate that needs a starting pitcher in July.
This is on the Cincinnati Reds, and Ilya was talking to us before we started recording. He's now the highest paid guy on that team, and a team that they believe they're approaching.
It's a young team, very young team.
Which they believe, I think that they could take off this year, and adding a veteran guy like him, in theory, could be a good thing to stabilize. But he's the least stabilizing, guy you can add to a lineup, given his track record of injuries.
How many innings did Frankie Montas throw for the Yankees? Was it even 50? I mean, holy shit!
I had a buddy that is
over under 50.
Reds.
What are you taking? Over under 50? I'm taking the under on 50. I think it's probably right around 50. But if I had to guess, it was Ilya's.
I have a buddy who's a Cincinnati Reds fan and was asking me. He sent me a text after Montas signed with Cincinnati. He's like, "So what do you think?" I'm like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see him pitch.
Your guess is as good as mine."
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what I thought when he came over, but he didn't do literally nothing. There's no sample size for us to look at and say, "Oh, this is what Frankie Montas is." That doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So the big guys on the market still, obviously we've talked about Montgomery and Snell, but also Shota Imanaga, the other Japanese pitcher, the left-handed pitcher, who's I believe 30 years old, out of Japan. He is ranked as the third best available free agent pitcher right now, behind those other two guys. 41 innings
pitched. Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, so for Frankie Montas. And I know there was some talks that the Yankees were potentially going to bring him back on a similar deal that he got for the Reds. Would you have been okay with that?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to think about him. If he's healthy, and there's such a huge F with him that it's No, just move on. Just get something. No, spend the money. Spend the money on Jordan Montgomery. Bring a guy in that you know is going to pitch, and stop dicking around.
That's what I'm suggesting, though. Is you sign Jordan Montgomery and you bring back Frankie Montas to hopefully be the guy you were trading for 2 seasons ago.
If he's a flyer at the end of the rotation, fine.
Yeah. But no, you can't bring him in behind with all the other question marks and say, here we go, Frankie Montas, another question mark in our rotation. You need another solidified arm in this rotation. You probably need 2 more solidified arms.
I just, so like, you, in any way, shape, or form, it's hard for me to get behind Frankie Montas as a solidified arm, even if he's healthy. I have no idea what he is.
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
I'm not misunderstanding. My point is that, like, I don't know if the upside's there. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's another factor.
Yeah, because I have no idea if the upside's there. Because the upside when he was in Oakland, like, he was good and he had good stuff, but the track record wasn't there for sustainability of him doing even before that injury. Like, he had I think 1.5 good years at the end with Oakland, and his stuff looked better than his numbers were. So what is the upside truly on Frankie Montas? And I doubt he ever really shows it.
Right. Yep. So now you're looking at those 3 pitchers I mentioned on the free agent market, and then the trade market. I know we've talked about Corbin Burns. Is Bieber going to be available from the Guardians? Who the hell knows? But the Yankees are going to have to do something. And I think there's a lot of pressure on them in the next 6 weeks before spring training starts to do something big in the rotation.
Yeah. And the options are dwindling down. So I think they need to get behind this Jordan Montgomery piece, and they need to make the move and make it happen. It really is the safest thing. And I think they need a safer option right now. They don't need an option that has the ability to blow up in your face. And to me, Jordan Montgomery probably has the least, the smallest factor to blow up. It's the safest move on the market. And frankly, it's always been the safest move, even looking at the other guys, given the cost of it. But you're going to overpay a little bit, but you pretty much know what you're getting with him.
So Ilya just dropped in our chat. How do you guys feel about the rumored build a super bullpen as a backup plan to getting more starting pitching? You could sign Hader and then a couple other bullpen arms to, I guess, just shorten games. Haven't they tried that before? Didn't they try that in the 2016, 17, 18, 19 seasons? And ultimately it did not work out for them. We've seen what happens when you have to rely on 4+ innings out of your bullpen routinely throughout the season. Guys get worn down. There's more opportunities for your manager to make dumb decisions. There's more opportunities for guys to just have off nights and you blow a game that you otherwise shouldn't have, because when you trot out 4 or 5 different guys, someone's going to be off in the game. And then you get into a situation in the playoffs and you're always going to be playing close games against other good pitching where offense is going to be harder to come by, and every decision is magnified. You have such a thin margin of error when you are doing a super bullpen to try and win a championship.
Yeah, and then exactly, and then that is just magnified even more once you hit the playoffs, and you have to go against. You don't have any depth in your rotation, and you have to be perfect in the bullpen, and you're matching days. So it's a difficult thing to do, but as the Yankees have looked at the pitching staff over the years, I think that they're looking for quality arms. And if they can't get it in the rotation, they've already shown that they will go and get it in the bullpen. And I'm not going to sit here and say that if they don't sign one, they need to sign. I really do. They just need to sign Jordan Montgomery. But if they don't, for whatever reason, and Josh Hader's out there, then yeah, get the best arm. Like, you do need to improve the pitching staff. I just don't agree with that philosophy.
It will be because they whiffed on starting pitching, though. It will
Yes.
Not be because this is what they wanted to do. It's because what they're now forced to do.
Yes, I agree.
Which is never a good place to be.
Correct.
So the Yankees did trade Estevan Florial to Cleveland a couple weeks ago for Cody Morris, who's a swing pitcher. Florial had passed through waivers at the beginning of last season, and he was out of options. I mean, at one point he was a top 3 prospect in the Yankee system, way back in 2018, right? Like 2017, 2018, he was a top 3 prospect.
Many moons ago. He unfortunately got injured. We were at that spring training game when he
was injured. That 17 or 18 that injury happened. I think it was 18. he broke his wrist running into the center field wall.
Pre-Kemp or post-Kemp? I don't know. I don't remember.
That would have been post-Kemp.
Okay, so 18. It was 18 then, if that's the case. Then it was 18 or 19. But
could have been 19 as well.
Could have been 19, yeah. But yeah, he's a guy that just never was able to hit in the major leagues. Forever, his plate discipline was an issue, still an issue, and that's always been his Achilles heel. He strikes out too much, doesn't walk enough, doesn't see the ball well enough in the major leagues to build on an offensive career. He's always been a really good defender, still is, and I hope he does well. I really do, because you look at him and like the guy's a specimen of an athlete. And unfortunately was derailed, by injuries at key points of his prospect status career. And it just didn't work out. So
in 2019, he was the top ranked Yankees prospect. Now that's a little misleading because at that point, the Yankees had called up Gleyber Torres and some other guys who would have been ranked higher than Estevan Florial. Like Clint Frazier probably would have still been ranked higher, but he was no longer considered a prospect at that time. And I think some of the other pitching in the Yankees system, Justice Sheffield would have been ranked higher, but I don't think he was. He might not have even. He wasn't in the Yankees system anymore at that point because he was traded for James Paxton at that point. So that's a little misleading, but it still goes to show you like he was a highly ranked prospect. That another guy who I'm sure at some point if they traded in that time frame they could have got an actual return for, and instead this is what they're left with. Giving him away. I'm not saying giving him away. I mean, it's just like you had no value for him.
Cody Morris, I'm surprised they got a major league pitcher, to be honest. Like this is actually a pretty good job, and given the diminished value of Florial and the fact that he was out of options at that, or no, he's got two options, or no, Cody Morris has two options.
Cody Morris has options. Florial's out of options
because Florial passed through waivers. That's right. So when you're getting a guy that has the ability to start, was in the bullpen last year, but seemingly has good stuff. He's got 4 pitches, so we'll see what they can do with him. Like this is I feel like repeating. The one thing that we've seen success with from the front office of the Yankees is they've been able to find quality relief pitchers. So if he's one of these guys who can swing, between a starting pitcher and a reliever, or just settle into the bullpen, wouldn't surprise me one bit. So. They got a contributor.
You're going to be mad if Florial turns into a player for Cleveland?
No, I'm not, because I think he had ample time to do that here. Ample time. And I don't expect it. Again,
I don't expect it either. Watching him try and hit at the major league level was not pretty.
No, I hope he does, though. I really do. I hope he figures it out. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, sure. Why not? A couple other free agent updates that impact the Yankees. So Kevin Kiermaier re-signed with the Blue Jays for 1 year, $10.5 million. IKF signed a deal with Toronto for 2 years and $15 million. I know that was a guy that I think you probably would have wanted to see the Yankees bring back in a utility role, but
I don't think there's a spot for him at this point with the way that the roster is. But when you look at the utility role now for the Yankees, you're looking at a couple young guys who can come in and fill that spot. So I don't really think there was a clear role for him anymore.
We already talked about Frankie Montas and just the price on pitching because of what him and Chris Sale, who the Braves traded, what could be a very good young player for Chris Sale. And I know, Ilya, you wanted us to play a game where we guess how many innings Chris Sale has pitched since 2020. I did not look this up. My guess is like 110, 120 innings. I know he was injured in the COVID season, and I think he came back in 2021 because the Red Sox were good in 2021, which was a bit of a surprise. And I think he came back and pitched in the second half of that season, but wasn't very good. So I'm guessing like 120 innings. What's your guess, Scott?
I also did not look this up. I'm going to go under that, and I'm going to say 73.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I thought you guys would both go over. He threw 151 innings.
Oh, okay.
That's more than I actually thought, though.
He signed
it's
that
been 4
extension.
seasons, right? 3 seasons.
He signed that extension with the Red Sox right before the 2020 season when Garrett Cole signed. So Garrett Cole since then has thrown 664 innings.
Every day. He's out there every day.
So they've paid him $216,000 an inning. Red Sox have paid Chris Sale $778,000.
That's
for
insane.
Every inning he's thrown.
So when you think about the amount of innings, the reason I'm going under on that
$200,000 an inning is still a lot of money, guys.
Yeah,
think about it.
It is. The Red Sox were non-competitive as well. They were out of when he was in there pitching. He wasn't pitching in any meaningful games during those 100 and how many?
No, I thought 2021 the Red Sox almost made the ALCS, or they did make the ALCS in 2021.
Was he pitching at that point? I don't
Yes.
know. Maybe I
He
tuned
came back.
out.
He came back that season. That's why I guessed over 100 innings, because I remember him pitching a decent amount that season. Do I have that wrong?
I don't know.
2021.
He pitched 9 games in 2021 and 2 games in 2022.
Yeah, so I remember him coming back down the stretch
9
in
games.
2021. That's
Yeah.
9 starts. I mean, that's a decent amount.
Yeah.
Think about how many games the Yankees pitchers haven't pitched. Like, come on. Like Frankie Montas, we just talked about, 41 innings. Chris Sale's lapping him 3 times.
Yeah. What's the average per inning for Frankie Montas?
Luckily, probably not a lot, although 41 innings is not a lot. But the price on pitching to the point we were discussing is insane. When these guys with massive injury risks and huge question marks are getting either prospect capital traded away or legitimate dollars just for the hope they can be good.
Yeah, it just there's not a lot out there, and I think the guys are.
But there is a lot. This offseason was like perhaps the best free agent pitching class in years.
Well, I mean, after Yamamoto, which is the price. The problem is that the guys that were leading the market were significantly high guys that had a very small window of suitors, or a very small group of suitors. So once you set the market at that high price where most of the people that need starting pitching are not involved, then all of a sudden the market for these other guys goes through the roof for actual starting pitching. And when you're looking at the actual free agent market, it's not that deep, actually. It's not.
Okay, Yamamoto I agree with, because also he's really realistically only.
Can't even put Ohtani in that category either. I'm
not putting Ohtani in that category, but Yamamoto I agree. He was only going to sign with a handful of teams anyway. But then when you get to Snell, Montgomery, Nola, I know already signed back with Philly, but all of those guys, there should have been 10 or 12 teams realistically in on signing those guys. If you think you're going to be competing in the next 3 years, you should be in on. Baltimore should be in on signing Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell. They have the money to do that. Will they? I have no clue. But you can't sit here and tell me Baltimore can't afford Jordan Montgomery. That's bullshit if you say that.
No,
then what the fuck are you doing if you're the Baltimore Orioles?
But again, you're talking about 2 guys now, and Snell the thought about Snell is risk.
I don't like the thought of Snell. I don't want the Yankees to sign Blake Snell.
But I think a lot of teams agree with that, and I think there's a risk cloud that's hovering Blake Snell right now. And Jordan Montgomery, if you look at now who the available free agents are, like Nola, was he going anywhere else besides Philly? Very possibly not.
I think if another team offered him 180 million instead of the 170
but
million,
again, like you're overpaying for a guy.
You
like
overpay for everyone. Just find me a free agent that doesn't get overpaid.
You can overpay, but when you're looking at the potential hit on getting significant value for that is low with these guys. Except for, to me, Jordan Montgomery is the one guy that you could probably get a higher value than what you pay for. Has the ability to.
I don't like the idea of signing Blake Snell if you're the Yankees, because I think he's too big of a question mark in an already questionable rotation behind Garrett Cole. But if I'm going to use Orioles as the example again. This is a young team that desperately needed a front of the line starting pitcher last year. That would be a very easy sell if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan for Blake Snell. He just won the Cy Young. He's won the Cy Young before in the American League East. He can put you over the top if he has another good season. If he has another top 5 Cy Young caliber season, that brings the Orioles to another level that they were not able to achieve this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that the Orioles are prime for getting.
And if that costs you $215 million and you're the Baltimore Orioles, you have to do that. Otherwise, what is the point of building the team that they have built? Right? Now, I understand some teams are not capable of doing that. Tampa Bay is never going to be capable of spending that much money on a free agent. But Baltimore is not a ho-dunk town. Like, Baltimore is a major
poverty franchise. They have owners.
The Orioles are a major baseball franchise. they're not the Yankees, but they're in that next level down if they need to be. They've
especially
made
in their prime years. Like they have a very a deep fan base when going well.
And they've made bad decisions in free agency, and like that, and maybe that sinks them more than it's going to sink another franchise. But if you're never going to take the swing again, what's the point?
Yeah, no, they're primed. But again, that means the Yankees need to very much go in and solidify Jordan. If the Orioles went and snagged Jordan Montgomery under everybody's nose, like that would be the move of one of the biggest moves of the offseason, getting a guy like that for Baltimore who has, potential. He's now put in a position then to lead a up and coming team as the veteran starting pitcher to be their number one guy and
with a ring
and lead.
Like with the cachet of a ring.
Yeah. It's actually a really strong position, would be. So if you're looking at both of those guys and you're thinking about similar money, if I'm the Orioles, I hope it doesn't happen because the Yankees need him pretty damn badly.
I think there's a lot of pressure on the Yankees to make major pitching moves. And I'm not talking about Hader and a super bullpen. I'm talking about legit starting pitching that you can count is going to pitch 28 plus starts this season.
Yeah. Cause if you sign Snell, you almost have to, Hader's still in play at that point too, and you're looking at what's the total cost for them because you still need to solidify that bullpen.
Yeah,
with a guy like Snell in your rotation because he doesn't really give you that starter.
I'm gonna be so angry if they sign Blake Snell.
Oh, now I hope they sign Blake Snell.
I'm gonna be angry because no matter what, I'm gonna be angry because
you're gonna see him on Twitch. In between,
certainly not going to watch him on Twitch, but I'm going to be angry because I think he's going to be a disaster. And then if he is a disaster, that's going to make me mad. And then if he isn't a disaster, I'm going to be mad because then I was wrong. There's a no-win situation for me if they sign Blake Snell.
I love it. Now I truly hope they sign Blake Snell.
I guess it would only not be if he was just mediocre, just average every single time out there. Average.
He's that's the thing with him is like, because he puts guys on base, it's going whenever he's pitching, especially if you were pitching in the Bronx and you're putting guys on base consistently, like he's got the ability and the track record for getting out of situations and working himself out because he can pitch. But that hits a little different, I think, when you're doing it in the Bronx, when you're consistently leaving guys on. Do you have that ability to finish a particular inning in Yankee Stadium as opposed to San Diego or Tampa? A lot of guys can't.
So one thing that Logan and I were talking about when we were doing the GM plans is like if we sign Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, obviously, or Imanaga because he's also left-handed, you're then looking at 3/5 of your rotation being left-handed, and that's not normal. No, I mean that usually 2 lefties in the rotation is most you're going to see.
Yeah.
Does that worry you at all?
No, I don't think so. Doesn't really worry me.
It's not something that like until he said it, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it would be because you've got Rodon and then hopefully Nestor Cortez, and then you would have Montgomery or Snell or Imanaga or someone like that. It didn't bother me. It didn't really bother me. I don't know if that's, but I agree. It's odd that you don't normally see it.
Because of the amount of right-handed bats that it depends on how a particular lefty is doing against right-handed pitching, I guess. But not. I think left-handers can glance.
I mean, left-handers have historically had a lot of success pitching in Yankee Stadium. Like
they have.
You're
again not a concern on face value. It's more about individual player, and I'll say that as a right-handed pitcher too, because plenty of guys that are right-handed pitchers that I don't want pitching in pinstripes. It's the same. It's a similar story with how certain guys are at the plate. Like, yeah, we want a lefty bat. That's a lefty power bat, something that they've always wanted for sure, and that they needed. But you have if you have the ability to put up good numbers against right-handed pitching still, then again, it doesn't matter. It depends on the player.
All right, a couple other things before we wrap up. Yankees, I guess, reportedly interested in bringing back Gio Urshela. Okay. Why not just sign IKF at that point? But fine. CBS graded the Yankees offseason an A so far, which I think is a little high. I obviously you got Juan Soto and Verdugo.
CBS who? The network?
Is
Or
someone on
was it
CBS Sports,
Exisa?
CBSSports.com. I don't know. I saw it in a headline, and I was
yeah.
like, that seems like too high of a grade right now. Again, it's like, okay, you're at the this is like the midterm, right? Like you've got an A right now, but don't fuck this up the rest of the way because you don't go get a starting pitcher. You're not getting an A for this offseason.
No, let's break this down even further. Okay. Juan Soto's an A. Everything else.
Yep.
What's the grade on everything else? I don't know. I'm at a C right now. I can't say Alex Verdugo is a guy that, I'm, running to spring training for. It's we'll see. He's got the ability to be a good fit here, but it's Juan Soto. The only reason that grade is remotely good is because of Juan Soto. If the Yankees didn't have Juan Soto, it would be an F.
Well, RJ
so the grade is for Juan Soto.
The world-renowned baseball reporter RJ Anderson wrote the article.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does
he have a vote in the Hall of Fame?
Never even heard of the guy. So you also wanted to talk about how Greg Bird is tearing up the Australian League.
I just wanted to throw a little. It's always nice to hear stories. So
where are they now?
Where are they now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Greg Bird is leading the Australian Baseball League for the Melbourne Aces in home runs, in runs batted in, and the most important stat, games played.
It's shocking.
The man's out there. Young. I think it's a young season at this point still, but the guy, you read the article, there's a good article on The Athletic. I think Cuddy wrote it.
Is the Australian League like the 6th best professional baseball league in the world?
I have no idea.
Because you know what it is? MLB.
It's a good place to regain the love of the game. And you know what I didn't know is that in 21, if you read that article in 21, Bird was with the Colorado Rockies affiliate, AAA affiliate, hit 29 home runs.
We talked about this.
I don't remember talking about that. Knocked in 90 some RBI. Like the guy was productive and out there. Couldn't break through with the Rockies at that point. Rockies didn't want to bring in a guy that was putting up numbers like that.
Did he not play at all for the Rockies that year?
I don't think he cracked the roster. Yeah, I don't think he.
Who did he crack the roster for? Did the Blue Jays have Texas?
I think
Texas.
The Blue Jays. I think he was gonna last year. I think he was coming out of spring training. Was going to be. I don't know if he cracked the roster at that point, but he was coming up. But Texas, he was definitely in for a bit.
So, do you realize that Greg Bird debuted in the first season we were doing this podcast?
Oh, 15, yeah. Wild. He was supposed to be the guy. He was the guy.
He was the guy up until other stuff.
Susan Waldman was in love with Greg Bird.
I was in love with Greg Bird. That was a sweet swing for Yankee Stadium, and he was very, very good for them in 2015, and then all the injuries happened. Yeah. And we'll always have the Andrew Miller, the home run off Andrew Miller in the 2017
And
playoffs.
I'll always have this.
Did it break? Was that broken?
Okay. Broken so many times. The Greg Bird bobblehead with the shell, and I love the fact that it broke because it's breaking even more now. It's so goddamn top heavy because he's sitting in this shell that just doesn't fit in it, and the head breaks like constantly. So I just leave the
just got
because I think it actually makes more sense that it's a broken.
It doesn't
shell.
even look a little bit like Greg Bird.
It's got the eyebrows.
Yeah. How are the toes looking? Broken?
No toes.
No toes. Even better.
he's just half of a man. Oh, and the best part is he's got the bird wings that look like angel wings on the back.
They do look like angel wings. Yeah. Is that a Trenton or a
Scranton?
Scranton. Okay.
Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
But that's weird because he got called up straight from Scranton. Or straight from Trenton.
That's true. Did he go back at any point?
Only to rehab.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So this is a limited edition.
Very limited.
I mean, this is you can't find this, especially the broken part of it. I think I increased the value. You know the Banksy, is that his name? The artist,
the graffiti artist.
Yeah, the guy that sold like the painting with the little girl with the umbrella, and then at Sotheby's or whatever, and then as the auction ended, it shredded. He like installed a shredder in the frame. Yeah, so the whole goddamn thing shredded, and it came out the bottom of the frame right after it sold, and now has like 20x'd in value the shredded version of it because it was shredded. Now it's even more unique.
I wonder if he knew that was going to happen or if he was just trying to be a dick.
I think both.
All right.
I think both.
That's going to wrap up today's show. We'll be back at you again. Spring training is right around the corner. It's like 5-6 weeks away. It's pretty amazing. Go get pitching, Yankees.